And joining us now, Katie, is a member of the Select Committee investigating January 6th, Congresswoman Stephanie Murphy. Congresswoman Murphy, do you believe that today's hearing with Bill Stepien, because of happy occurrence, we hope, the birth of a new child, was not in person, but it was on video, that today's hearing made the point of the big lie and the connection to how it completely misled the people who rioted on January 6th?
Well, first, let me just say congratulations to him and his family. What an exciting thing. But I do think that the video testimony does, in conjunction with our live witnesses, as well as the other video testimony that we were able to provide, does lay out the case for the fact that Donald Trump lost, and he was told by his advisors, he was told by his lawyers, he was told by the local elected commissioners, he was told by everyone that he had lost, and that none of the fraudulent election theories actually had any merit. And he refused to listen to that. And he went on to tell the American people that there was fraud in this election. And just imagine that, a sitting president undermining the integrity of our democracy, the integrity of our election, all for personal gain. I think that's incredibly damaging, and I think we laid out the case for that.
You are laying out a case with Donald Trump right at its center, and I think the question needs to be raised. Are you trying in the panel to put some pressure on DOJ to press charges against the former president?
That's not within the writ of the committee's purpose. Our purpose is to lay out all of the facts and then provide legislative recommendations to secure our democracy. It is up to the American people to take in those facts and make a determination as to the character and the fitness of President Trump for the office that he held. And then the Department of Justice can also evaluate if there was any criminal wrongdoing, and that's their jurisdiction, not ours.
And Congresswoman Murphy, how much frustration is there, though, with the Department of Justice not pursuing, any kind of criminal subpoena referral that you had for the Chief of Staff, Mark Meadows, Dan Scavino? Do you believe that they are actively investigating Donald Trump?
While I am disappointed and surprised that they did not pursue the subpoenas, criminal indictment, I believe in an independent Department of Justice. I believe that that is a core tenet of the balance of power, is that we have Congress, the legislative branch, and the courts, and that was their decision, and I have to respect that.
Going forward, you're painting why so many people went to the Capitol on January 6th, because they were led to believe that the election was stolen from them by Donald Trump. There are still millions and millions and millions of people who still do believe this, because that lie is still being repeated by the former president, by those around him, by prominent people on Fox News in the echo chambers that they're listening to. You're talking about legislative fixes to help strengthen our democracy come next time. Is that going to be enough when you have so many people who don't accept the same reality?
I think it's important that we lay out the facts and try to reach as many people as possible. These people who believe in the big lie, who may have provided some of their personal money to support the big lie, who are possibly facing jail sentences for coming to Washington to act out on the big lie, they should feel duped. They should feel duped by the President Trump, who knew what he was saying to them was not true. He'd been told by everybody it was not true, but he was still using them for his personal gain. And my hope is that we can pierce that veil and that they can see how they were used in this situation. And then, the report will cover a lot of the other things that we have uncovered in the investigation, as well as to provide legislative recommendations. And it is a step in the right direction, because as a democracy and as elected officials and as citizens, we have an obligation and a responsibility to do the best we can to secure our electoral processes and the integrity of our democracy.